Hi, folks. This is Rick Doc Walker, the DOC.
This is John Kime, and you're listening to the Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted.
What's going on, Rally? It was great to see you and the missus the other day, man.
Hey, man, it felt good getting back to formerly known as FedEx Field, formerly known as Commander Stadium, now the new name Northwest Stadium. It felt good getting back to our stomping grounds, making that pilgrimage back, man. And it was good to see you as well.
It did feel good, man. Actually, I think we get one more name. They'll be tied for team names for that stadium. So
I want to do it.
It's going to take me a while. I mean, for the longest time, Cap One was still MCI Center for me. And I remember on 295, it took them years to take down that MCI Center sign off the highway. So I'm sure a bunch of people are like, what the hell? MCI Center? What the hell's that? And for those of you that don't know, I mean, that's what Capital One Arena used to be called. And then before that, it was the Verizon Center after MCI. So, I mean, that one there has been through three names, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm happy to hear that the Harris ownership group has a local company, Northwest Federal Credit Union. They are going to they have the naming rights for the stadium. And I actually went out to FedEx. See, I did it again. I went out to the stadium yesterday. And for those wondering, it's Wednesday the 28th. We're recording this. So I had a couple TV outlets ask me, hey, you want to do an interview to talk about? Like, what's there to talk about? The stadium has a new name. It's nothing else is changing. As long as they don't bring in some horrible colors, which I don't think they're going to do, there isn't much, but, it's airtime. So I drove out there and got a chance to talk to him, and it was great to see. And then I think I kind of dated myself because I know I had a bunch of people saying, what, they named the stadium after, what is that, like, is that Kanye's kid? Or whose kid is that?
Oh, yeah. Northwest.
Yeah. Like,
Kanye and
why?
Kim's.
Yeah. Like, why'd they name it out? It's like, Northwest to me is an airline. Like, before there was Southwest, I think there was Northwest, like back
It was
in the
Northwest.
day.
Yeah, you're dating yourself, bro.
Yeah, just a little bit, man. Just a little bit. But I'm also, I guess, not down with the hip hop if I don't, immediately think of Kanye and Kim's kid at that point when I think of the stadium name. But it's exciting to see because they're getting money for this. And it was embarrassing that we didn't have a sponsor for the stadium. Like, I can't think of an NFL franchise that doesn't have a sponsor for their stadium. And I don't blame companies for not wanting to do it because FedEx has been kind of a joke when it comes to the NFL stadiums to go visit. And I told on a former pod, one of my buddies from Miami, he's coming to DC and he's asking how come he can't find a tour to take a FedEx. Like, nobody wants to tour FedEx. And I don't think they're going to want to tour Northwest either.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe a couple years down the road once they do more upgrades, but right now, it's all good. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, not yet. But I am happy that the Hogs found someone, and Northwest was already sponsoring pregame shows, postgame shows for the team, and doing a bunch of other stuff. So from the story, it said it is worth significantly more than average annual value of its previous deal with shipping giant FedEx, which was roughly $7.5 million a year. So significantly more than $7.5 million a year. They just paid $6.5 billion. This deal goes through 2031. So, hey, happy for them. And, maybe they can spread some of that wealth back down to us little people. Because from what I saw walking around the stadium, they made it more expensive to go to a game on top of raising our season tickets this past year.
They did. And what I was going to say is, it's just a natural transition, I believe, because they were already sponsoring the jerseys. Their big blue and white tag was on the practice jerseys. You see it during training camp. So you saw that. The question that I have is for any Northwest Credit Union member, did your rates go up for your car and credit cards and things of that nature? Because if it did, then hey, where that hike is going to. But I got to tell you, I'm happy for it. The flag is was just dropped off at the shop to get it pinned onto or embroidered onto the flag. So I'll be happy to display that proudly, and it's something that's needed. And so, everybody's saying, "Oh, well, the closest thing Northwest DC," and it's not Northwest DC. I said, "You guys are taking this thing too far." Now, the only thing that I would look at maybe is I know that their colors are blue and white. Maybe if you put a little burgundy and gold in there, or some kind of, a translucent gold in there, it would go fine. But FedEx colors were what? Green, blue, yellow. I mean,
Orange.
they had the rainbow basically. So and nobody complained about it. So hey, if it's just blue, just what is it, dark blue or whatever have you, then we'll roll with it. They're paying for it, and I can see why. And I gotta tell you, walking around the stadium, I like the improvements, bro. Did you see those improvements?
So, first thing I noticed when I walked in the stadium, and I got in a little early, was that god awful Sean Taylor installation gone. So that
Gone.
right there is a
Yeah.
freaking win, and happy
Oh
as
yeah.
hell. And we'll play a clip regarding that here in a little bit. But seeing that thing removed opened up so much space. It just wasn't a joke anymore having to see
Mm-hmm.
that, because that thing just pissed me off. I'm sure it pissed off a bunch of other fans every time we saw it. And then some of the new grab and go concession stands, being able to walk up, scan your QR code, grab what you want. My only question around that is, how often are they changing that food out? Just having gone through food safety courses and things like that with the tailgate and having to be
Yeah.
certified, you got to change that stuff out every once in a
Yeah.
while. How
Yeah.
long is that stuff sitting there? Right? Because I didn't
Yeah.
see a ton of people walking. And granted, it was preseason. They said, I mean, how many people do you think were there? They said they expected 20,000 people for that game.
Maybe 15. Yeah, maybe 15. I don't know. I really couldn't get a good gauge because, as you said, it was preseason, and truthfully, I really wasn't looking at that aspect of things. I was just happy to be at FedEx Field, albeit even though it was 8 o'clock at night. I was just happy to be there. So I wasn't trying to gauge crowd size. I will do that, however, for the New York Giants
Oh
game
yeah.
for the home opener. But so what they say it was?
They said it was supposed to be 20,000. I don't know what the announced actual like real scanned attendance was at
Hmm.
that point, but I mean 20,000 people, 8 p.m., the final preseason game when you got no starters playing and you've got a lot of jurisdictions in our area that have their first day of school coming up. I just
Yeah.
find it hard to believe that it really would be 20,000 people because the parking lots were empty. I mean, you walked around, there was really no one out there. I didn't realize we had so many Patriots fans that lived in this area. I don't know why I'm shocked because, it's always a front runner town and they won all those
Yeah.
rings. But damn, there were a ton in the parking lot just walking in the stadium.
It surprised me as well. But this is a transient city and transient town, so people come from all around and live here. So why not taking a chance to see your team? I mean, I was shocked, believe it or not, at all of the fans at the Miami Commanders fans at the Miami game. It was a ton of fans down there, and Florida, like the DMV, is just one of those cities or states rather that fans flock to for retirement and everything else. And so we've got a huge fan base down there. So that actually shocked me as well. So it's not shocking for the Patriots fans to be up here, even though it was a preseason
Yeah.
game.
And I mean, also to see Drake May,
Hmm.
every time he steps out there, they're getting to see that draft pick and what's going to happen. And the first time I saw him on that drive, like, all right, we took the right guy, right? It's like, all right, I'm happy that we didn't take Drake. And granted, I didn't want Drake. I don't think you wanted him. I think we got the player that we wanted to get.
Oh yeah.
So Drake was 13 of 20. I mean, he did have a touchdown, but he was going up against a bunch of scrubs, and he should do well going up against those guys, all things considered. But going back to the stadium improvements, I mean, the concession stand, some of that stuff. I'm trying to think of what else was really new walking around. It almost felt like the floor was shinier walking around the lower concourse.
The boards had more of an HD look to them, and the sound system sounded better. That's just what I found out.
Oh, the sound system was 1,000% better. I
Yeah.
mean, whatever they did, you could hear everything. I mean, one of the, I guess, improvements that they are thinking is that I felt like I was at an airport in the parking lot. I'm not sure if you were there when this happened at that point, but there's a little announcement, 50 minutes until kickoff, time to pack up and get to your
Oh
seats.
no, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, you were probably inside at that point.
Okay.
Like 30 minutes till kickoff, time to get inside because you're not allowed to tailgate. And this is not new. You are not allowed to
Hmm.
tailgate once the game starts. You
Yeah.
have to go inside. And a
Yeah.
lot of fans try and stick out there. They'll still tailgate and hang out and just do different stuff. And it's not allowed. So now they make that announcement to say, hey, you got to go in. I guess that is one of the, I don't know if I'd call it an improvement, but something different that they did. The magnometers. So the new security setup to get in, you don't got to
Hmm.
take stuff out your pockets anymore. If you've been to a Nats game or if you've been to a Wizards or a Capitals game, it's the same type of security setup that you got there. So it made entry 1,000 times
Oh,
faster.
heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.
That was awesome.
The first time I saw that, and I don't like Philadelphia, but that's the first place that I saw that. And unfortunately, even though I still have the chain, I have to go through the X-ray machine. And I said, it's just plastic. They didn't care. They said, hey, you're going over there. You got to put this through the X-ray machine. So I was a little ticked off about it, but it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, they'll get to know me and they'll say, hey, no, we know that guy. Let's let them through. It's because it didn't go off, and that's why I
Yeah.
said, well, did I beep? And they said no. I'm like, well, if I didn't
Well, what
beep,
they're
then
stopping you for?
yeah, why you going?
Yeah.
Why you sending me over there? But it's just one of those things to where So I'm not one to fight security. Hey, I want to make your job just as easy as I want you to make my life easier. So I'll do it and keep it moving.
So, I mean, they made improvements to make it faster to get in the stadium,
Hmm.
faster to get your food. But to me, one step back that they took, which I was kind of frustrated to see, was the food prices, right? And I walked around to all the concession stands on the lower bowl, and I was getting text messages from some season ticket holders saying, what happened to the Washington Gold lanes? They're all gone. So then I walked around the entire bowl to see there were no Washington Gold lanes. For those that don't know, it's a perk that you get as a season ticket holder. So it's like a fast pass lane where you just show your little gold thing on your phone, and you can only get in there if you're a season ticket holder or if a season ticket holder sends you their tickets.
So do you think that maybe because this was preseason that they just weren't doing it because of that, or do
That's
you think
exactly
they're
what it
just
was.
okay?
So
Yeah.
I saw one of the VPs and I could almost hear her groan when she sees me walk up to her at that point. And, because I got feedback, man. I'm not going to be quiet. It's like, what's going
Yeah.
on? Like, I literally walked around the entire place because I talked to some staff. I was like, no, 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 we have them. We have them. Like, no, you don't. I just walked around the entire place. So, where are they? And she said, no, 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 we just didn't put them out because it's preseason. It's like, okay,
Yeah, because they didn't
that's
have it.
fine.
They didn't have it. They didn't have it for when you were walking up with your ticket as well, because there was
Yeah.
basically no need for it. I
There's no
mean,
line at that point.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it says here that the paid attendance was 54,258, which is interesting. So I guess that counts being a season ticket holder and people that
yeah.
actually bought tickets to go to the game. I'm telling you, there was zero chance there was even half of that in the stands.
No.
But that is kind of revealing because Josh Harris did a media availability before the game. And during that, we've got a couple clips of it. He mentioned how that the season ticket holder base has just shot up tremendously. And
Hmm.
I met no short of 2 dozen people in the parking lot while I'm sitting there by myself that they just got season tickets this past year. And
Yeah.
there's a guy behind me, him and his son just got season tickets last week. Right? There's a lot of people coming back and a lot of people that are just jumping on board now. And it's awesome to see, man.
Oh, it feels good. It lets you know that as far as the fan base is making their way back, and the team isn't, well, just yet that we know of, the play on the field isn't where it needs to be that we know of compared to what happened last year. But the fans are feeling the energy; they're re-energized, if you will, to be and want to take this stuff in. And speaking of which, there's a guy who was sitting next to me, and he goes, "Man, I love the podcast. Tell Ted what's up." And I was like, "All right, cool. I'll do that." And so I'm making sure that I'm giving him a shout out to the guy that was sitting next to me. And he goes, "Man, I didn't know I was gonna be sitting next to you. Now I know I'm gonna be on TV." And I was like, so
Tell him to get
yeah,
his hair done before every game, man.
yeah. That's why I put a hat on, bro, because this stuff here is a lot of work. But no,
I hear you, man. It's refreshing, man, to know that
yeah,
we're not the only ones that are going to be there, that it's not a bunch of opposing fans. These are season ticket holders that
hmm,
we can count on to root on this team versus in the past, these tickets were going to the highest bidder or a bunch of away team fans that were flooding our stadium. And I'm not saying that we're not going to still get flooded. It's a work
yeah,
in progress, but
hmm,
there are more and more season ticket holders that are existing now, so it might not be as bad. I'm not gonna lie, the guy that sits behind me, he sold his tickets to a Steelers fan already, and I'm a little pissed off and bummed about that because I'm going to have to deal with that for that Steelers game. But those Steelers fans flood the stadium, every stadium they go to. So, I get it. But this is our home for the foreseeable future. And Josh Harris actually said during his presser how long he thinks he sees us being there. Let's hear it from Josh.
Firm is that people throw out the 2030 date for when you want it open. How firm is that in terms of when you know?
Yeah, it's a target. I think it's a realistic target. I mean, I wouldn't say that again. Like there's, there's political things that need to occur. There's land zoning, a whole lot of other things. A lot of it is not within our control. So there's no way to predict a specific date. But I think that's a reasonable target.
So this is
so
going to be our home for at least 6 years. He said,
and yeah, and the question that I would have is, okay, what exactly is your drop dead date? For instance, we know that they're bojangling with DC, congressmen and things of that nature, zoning, park services, and all that good stuff. We know they're bojangling with them. At what point they say, listen, if we don't get this done by 2025, hypothetically January 2025, then we're going to move on to the next piece. What I want to know, what his drop date is that he says, okay, I can't wait any longer, we're going to go in this direction. That's the biggest question that I would have.
yeah, and that came up during the press conference. I want to say it was Sam Fortier that was asking. It's like basically what's going on right now is there's another election, and the bill is in front of the Senate,
Hmm.
right? No one feels that the Senate's going to do anything in regards to this bill because they're all worried about getting reelected or their
Hmm.
campaigns and this and that. So that means a new Senate is going to come in, then it's going to have to be proposed, and they're going to have to see if they care about it too. So that was one of the questions I went back when I talked to some of the reporters yesterday. Like, PG's ready,
Yeah.
Maryland is
Yeah.
ready, Wes Moore is ready. How
Hmm.
much longer are we going to hold out that, well, maybe it'll be DC? Maybe DC will guess what, because we've said it so many times. It's not just the Senate. You still got to wait for the damn president and then DC Council and all the other
Yeah.
stuff. And Josh Harris left himself an out when talking about the different jurisdictions and this and that. But being realistic, like, okay, I want to enjoy Northwest Stadium as long as possible because I am terrified of what a PSL is going to cost us once we go to the new place. I mean, Hog
Yeah.
Farmer Chris was joking, he's going to have to start a GoFundMe just to be able to afford season tickets. And, I'm going to have to, figure out a fifth side hustle to be able to afford the season tickets at the new place. But
Yeah.
like PG wants it now. And I get holding out hope because you think, DC is where it should be. He mentioned that he definitely sees the NFL draft coming to DC, this and that. And, to me, it's a no brainer. If you're the NFL, you want it at your nation's capital. Just imagine the B-roll in the background, right?
Yeah.
And then to be able to have your stadium behind that as well would be phenomenal. But man, how long are we going to hold out hope?
Yeah. What do we have in, I want to say 2004 or five? It was NFL kickoff, I want to say,
It was
and
a
that was
Thursday
on,
night kickoff.
yeah,
That was on the
and
mall. They
that
did a
was on
concert.
It was huge.
Yeah.
It was so huge. I remember normally like the Smithsonian is Metro stop is like one of the major stops. They had to close that and make people go to other stops. It was huge. So
Yeah.
I look at how they did it in Detroit, and you were there. Detroit, it was a huge success. They made a lot of money. There wasn't really a lot of crime that happened, so you don't have to worry about that. There were police everywhere, and this is going to be the same situation if they decide to have it here. Even when we had, it was the NBA. I want to say the All-Star game here a
Yeah.
couple
Years
of
ago.
years ago. It was the same thing. The town was overrun by NBA fans and like-minded people who wanted to have a great time in the nation's capital, and they succeeded on so many levels. The restaurants boomed, the hotel industry boomed. Everyone just had a good time, and I think that, like you said, it's a no-brainer. And we know that the Park Service has uh, they have different rules and there's a timeline that you got to figure out where I think they're going to probably waive a little bit of those timelines to make it happen. I think was it a year in advance or something to that effect, or within a year, I think it is that they have to have the answer that they're looking for. Well, as far as NFL planning, it needs to be a little bit more planned out than that. But as far as the Park
So
Service
they
is
do it
concerned,
at least 2 to 3 years in advance. Because I was, going to the draft, they put you on some of these prep calls and this and
yeah,
that, and they said they've got those spots specked out. I want to say it's at least 3 years in advance. So you're talking 3 years from now. We haven't even been on the radar. It could align timeline wise with when they want an actual new stadium. So who knows?
yeah, I would love it. I would love it. And as far as what the prices are going to be, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I mean, and you know, hey, by then you'll probably get a couple more promotions. I'll get a couple more promotions, and we'll just write it off to the side that hey, this is what our seats cost.
Yeah, it's fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed, knock on
Yeah,
wood. But
yeah,
one thing that is not going to the new stadium, and we mentioned earlier, is that Sean Taylor installation. And Nikki Javala had a
yeah.
tweet about it. It was unveiled November 2022. They changed it in December, and now it's been removed in 2024. And for those that don't know, watch the YouTube. I've got a picture of it up here. I mean, they got the whole thing wrong. They had a Nike jersey. Sean never wore Nike. He wore Reebok at that point. They didn't tape the face mask. They didn't have the proper cleats on. I mean, it's just it was bad. And on top of that, it looked like a mannequin from J.C. Penney, right?
Yeah.
It was embarrassing, but they made it seem that Sean's family was cool with it. So you tried not to rag on it because they were cool with it because it was honoring Sean.
Yeah.
Well, they decided to remove it. And this is actually what Josh had to say about that.
Josh, can you share a little bit of the decision to remove the Sean Taylor Memorial and commission a new statue to be built in the future?
Yeah, I think that honoring our alumni and obviously Washington football, glory of Washington football, 3 Super Bowls, we have a lot. But Sean Taylor is particularly important for obvious reasons. And I wanted to make sure that he had a first-class memorial, first-class exhibit. And so we've been working closely with the Taylor family and came to the decision jointly that it was probably time to look for something new, and we'll be considering that over the next season with the family. And so I was, but it's part of a bigger picture, right? Which is that in the NFL, I mean, if you're in NFL, the fraternity of NFL players, right? So if I were an NFL player, I would look at, how we have an incredible number of people that were really good, and so we're trying to embrace them all, but Sean Taylor in particular.
So I'm curious because we talked, once again, we talked about a previous pod. Is this something that's going to go inside the stadium? Is it something that's going to go outside the stadium? Is it something that's going to wait for the new stadium, which I feel is too long at that point? If we're talking 2030, 2031, I mean, that's what, 6-7 years from now at this point. But what do you think about this whole thing?
I like it. I like the fact that they got rid of it. And as you said, that's my section where you walk into. I'm in 132, and it was basically right there in the middle of 132/133. And it cleared up a lot of space. Maybe what they could do is put some more high top tables up in that space. But I'm hoping that it actually goes on the outside of the stadium, kind of like Baltimore's Ray Lewis and their Johnny Unitas stadium. It can go maybe where the Solar Man is in that area, where the DJs are, right there in front. I think that would be good. And I'm gonna put a pin in this to be able to come back to another part of a conversation that I had, a little flaw that I had, but getting back to it crossed my mind when we said in front of the stadium. But yeah, I think it needs to be on the outside of the stadium to where anyone is able to walk up to it, park their car, walk up to it, take a picture, get back in their car, and get on the Beltway and go where they want to go. I don't think it needs to be just on the inside of the stadium. What say you?
Yeah, I'm hoping it goes on the outside, similar to that. When I think of statues of players, I think of the was it Pat Tillman for the Cardinals that tragically passed away. When he was protecting and serving for our country at that point, like something like that outside where people can kind of see it and walk up to it and just pay homage to that individual. And I am excited to see, because so far everything the Hogs have done has been, I want to say, first class. In my opinion, it has, other than jacking up some of the concession prices. And
Well, with the 50% off though, being a gold member, right? So the regular food is 50% off with your gold card. Am I not
it is,
mistaken
but
about
not
that?
everyone's a gold member, right? So if
Well, I
you
can't
think
worry
of
about
just,
everybody. I can't worry about everybody, bro.
yeah, it's just like
I can't worry about everybody.
$4 or $5 more than it was last year for some of the items. So that to me is, I get it. I went to the grocery store the other day for the first time in
Yeah.
DC since April, and I can't believe how much it cost me. So I get it, but they're buying this stuff in bulk, and it's the same quality stuff I had last year. So,
Yeah.
that was a little frustrating. But like, did you see the video of the Tunnel Club where, some of the beat reporters got a chance to tour the stadium, do behind the scenes stuff, and we didn't get a chance to actually see it ourselves, but it looks freaking awesome. Not
Hmm.
worth $15,000, but it looks sweet.
Hey man, you got to pay the water bill some kind of way.
That is
So,
true. 15K
hey
for
man,
some, bougie
this
seating.
this is not going to be cheap, bro. I mean, it is what it is, and you know what they say: if you got to ask how much it is, you can't afford it. So, and I got to ask, so that lets you know I can't afford it. So it's out of my price frame. My pinky is not long enough, if you will. So I can't do it. But
I definitely can't afford it. And those
yeah.
that haven't seen it, check out Nikki Javala's Twitter. She has like videos of her walking through the entire place. I mean, it looks awesome. And it's places that those of you that are like Rally and I sitting in Gen Pop probably aren't ever going to be able to sit in or go to. I saw you hit up Magic on Twitter though, asking when he's going to be at a game so you could shake his hand. Maybe he'll call you up to his box or something one of these days.
You never know, bro. You keep pecking at it, eventually you'll get through.
That is true, man. That is, maybe. Hey, if that happens, just wave to me because his box is right behind my seats. But
Yeah.
one way where they can make some more money is by selling some more merchandise. And based upon Josh Harris's answer to a question that Grant Paulson had for him, I'm holding off on buying any more gear. Let me
Hmm.
hear what you think after this.
And you've made it pretty clear throughout that the name's not a priority right now. Is there any research that you have being done to see if the name is resonating with fans more than it was initially, or is that something that matters to you at all if it is growing in popularity?
It does matter. I just think that, and certainly, like we've been very clear, we can't, for obvious reasons, the old name can't come back. But right now, we're focused on things that unify the team around our football team, right? And unify the city around our football team. And so the first objective is we got to start winning football games. And we need everyone supporting the team and not things that might, drive people apart. Secondly, obviously, we're trying to find a new home. And again, unifying the city around that is important. And so, the name is one of those things that, like, a lot of opinions. But I mean, I can't say I've certainly not forgotten. I mean, like I said, I grew up here. Okay, so I understand it. And we brought back. We're going to start to do things that bring us back to our heritage, honoring our past. The gold. You saw the gold pants. Those are easy things to do. So we are doing research, and we're thinking about it. But like right now, we're prioritizing the things that we've talked about, and that's kind of the rationale for it.
When you heard Josh say we are doing research, what did you think?
Who are you polling? That's one of the biggest questions that I have, and I think that you kind of do yourself a disservice when you got rid of the fan captain program. The fan captains were people that were very knowledgeable on a various aspect of topics. And so when you have the fan captain program, people who, like, you may remember something that I don't, and vice versa. You say, no, you need to have it this way. You can say, well, I remember back when it was this way. You just can't go off of somebody else who you think. So who was this guy? Castro Fields. His name was spelled wrong on his jersey. You know, I it's little things like that that fans recognize, and I don't think that they would allow that to happen if you had those type of meetings again. Maybe they are having those meetings and they just didn't call me or you. Maybe they
They
did
could have
call
left us
you.
off. I mean,
Yeah.
no, I haven't called. I mean,
You
those that
know,
don't know, the fan captain program was a select group of individuals that we were basically a sounding board for the team. We provide feedback after game day, during game day, different things that were going on. And it's one that I worked on with the team since its inception and actually started it with them. And
hmm
then Jason Wright's crew took over and they changed it and wanted to call it something else. And then since then, it has now died on the vine.
yeah, poo
And
poo.
I've been meaning to reach out to some of the ownership to talk to them about reinstating it because, yeah, I am curious who they're pulling because I saw a ton of Commanders gear from people out at training camp posting pictures and this and that. I'm seeing more of it walking around town. But
hmm
personally, when I heard Josh say that, I was thankful that he said the old name's not coming back for obvious reasons. So,
Yes.
all of you people out there grasping and holding out hope, it ain't coming back. The owner just said it, and he said for obvious reasons. And it might not be obvious to you because you're ignorant or you're just stuck in your ways or whatever the hell it may be, but it ain't coming back.
I think stuck in your ways. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, I think there could be some of the, latter I said too, but it is what it is. So now just either you don't want to get on board with Commanders, fine. But if I am the average person going out there, I don't know if I want to make a large investment. Like you saw my boy Tim, right, from the tailgate when you came up and
hmm
stopped by with the missus, and he bought it. He actually customized a Jaden Daniels authentic jersey because they weren't
hmm
selling the Jaden Daniels jerseys yet. So that custom jersey is like what, $3+ bills? Like, damn. I can't personally justifiably drop cash on something like that because is he going to work out? But even forget that he can work out part. Are we going to be the Commanders in 3-4 years? I don't know. So it just makes
Yeah.
me not want to buy anything at this point. I mean, okay, the W, we're always going to be Washington, even though the stadium's in Maryland and the, headquarters is in Virginia. But other than that, I don't know, man. It just makes me not want to drop loot on that at this point. Maybe save the money for my $30 nachos.
Yeah, those stadium nachos. Well, this is you're beating a dead horse, but I didn't mind watching the football team. I really didn't. And truthfully, I don't mind Commanders. And I'm going to go 10 toes in. If there is a rebrand, it will be when the stadium is built. I've said it before. I know it goes against what a lot of people feel, but I just don't see you putting that name change into the stadium, trying to do things differently than now. I feel you're going to wait. And people say, well, it's going to be too late. Nothing's ever too late if that's what they want to do when it comes down to it. Whose money is it? It's not yours. It's theirs. I mean, we're paying a piece of it, obviously, but if they want to change it later on to whatever have you, you know, And ultimately, here's the other thing. You got people who are complaining about Northwest Stadium, that name. They don't like it. Is there anything that you can do about it? I don't think so.
I mean, what don't they like? I mean, it's like what? It's the name of the stadium. Who cares what the hell it's called?
Bro, you tell me. I don't know what they don't like, but they said I don't like it. That's just stupid. And I'm saying they're the sponsors, so that's their name that's going on it. But that's just the way it is, bro. I mean, I can't explain it.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, people
more
just like to complain, though. So I mean,
exactly.
I don't know why I'm surprised.
Yeah,
You
that's what it
know,
is. And so at some point in time, I try to tell people they're going to do what they're going to do, and either you're going to not like it or you're going to get on board with it, one way or the other.
I'm just hoping Jaden pans out and we start winning, and then people are going to be okay. Because it's just remember 2012, right? We went on that run. We went in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Robert was rookie of the year. Nobody was bitching about how bad FedEx Field was. Nobody was complaining about the traffic getting in
Oh
and out of the
no,
stadium.
no,
If you win, all of this just
yeah.
moaning and groaning goes away. So if we do start winning, then they're going to start selling more merch. People are going to jump on board. Other than that guy you sat beside that hated the fight song that was covering his ears, right? You know, it
Well, he
will
was
be
a
good.
Pats fan.
Okay. I mean, I thought, I did see the jersey. I was thinking, as a Commanders fan, I hate the new fight song too. So, it is what it is.
We are the Commanders.
But it was frustrating to hear that there was doubt still. We have doubt on where the new stadium is going to be, and we have doubt on what our long-term name is going to be. And those two things are still hanging over this fan base's head. And we have a new head coach. We potentially have the quarterback we've been looking for decades, and the front office that we have been just looking for decades. But these other two things are still so up in the air that we can't fully celebrate yet.
No, the finish line isn't even remotely close to seeing. We're not even close to seeing it. So I'm not even worried about that. Before we go on, you made a gripe about the concession prices. Well, here's the gripe that I have. So we know that, and this is off topic a little bit, but I feel I gotta voice my opinion on this because I had to wait in this line. We know that with the extension of the team store, that they used to have a lot of ticket will call places, ticket resolution places. Well, during this preseason game, I would say that there's probably 50 people in line for two windows. That's the only complaint that I had. And maybe I just don't know where the other ticket resolution windows are, but they've always been right there at the front.
Yeah, they removed that.
Yeah, to make room for the team store. I get it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it was a slow process. Now, the people that were working behind the glass, they were doing their best. You know what I mean? But there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, you got a bottleneck.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it was rough. So what I foresee is hopefully they can maybe somehow or another get another window out there to maybe a desk or something with a tent with a computer at line or something that you can help people, because
I think desk and tent's everything you can do because you're not taking away space. I mean, that's stuff out there. I mean, we talked about putting a podcast studio inside there where the old windows were and this and that with the team. And I think that just kind of died on the vine, but that's good feedback. I'll let them know and tell them that because you don't want to have to sit there and stand there and wait. And they used to charge you, I think, to put tickets at will call back in the day, which I still couldn't believe, but yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it was rough, man. That's the only really complaint that I had is, and I'm sure as things go along, more will happen. But I said to myself, wow, this is a preseason game, and you've got roughly, I'd say, 30 to 50 people in line just waiting to get whatever resolved. And a lot of people couldn't download their seats from the app. They didn't get the moving barcode, or not. Yeah, not the moving barcode, but SeatGeek has a different type of barcode. It's similar to Ticketmaster, but it's a circle that circles around the ticket. They couldn't get that, and so because of it, they weren't able to. They had to go get their tickets printed at the will call office, or not
So
will call.
if you didn't accept, and you're a season ticket holder, and if you didn't accept the SeatGeek new terms and conditions, then your
Hmm.
ticket wouldn't load properly. So I took a screenshot of it and then I emailed, the young lady that you and I both work with over the team. She said, yeah, it's because you haven't accepted the terms of anything yet. The second I did that, everything pulled up on my Commander's app, no problem. The tickets were there, but I
Uh-huh.
couldn't actually save them to my wallet. I couldn't do anything with them. I couldn't see a barcode or any of that. So who knows? Maybe it could have been that for those people. I
Yeah.
mean, I advise everyone to figure this stuff out well before
Oh, please
you
do.
get to the stadium, because it is a nightmare. But you can save them now to your phone, which you could not save them to your Apple Wallet in the past. It was kind of a pain in the ass. You'd have to pull the app up and this and that. You can do it
Hmm.
now. And
Okay.
they changed the way the 50% off Washington Gold concessions works. So I put a tweet about that earlier. It's a whole new process for you to get that discount on those $30 nachos. So just make sure you guys do that before week 2, the home opener, when we're out there.
Yeah. Please do. Yeah, this is the whole purpose of our podcast, is to give you that type of feedback, because some people just don't know, and the team doesn't know either. So that's why we're here to enlighten you guys, as well as staff that may be listening to us, so that we can help everyone have a seamless transition in getting into Northwest Stadium. You
Yeah.
see how I was thinking it. I
Yeah.
went through all the stadiums, and wound up with saying Northwest Stadium.
So did you put Commander Stadium on your
No,
flag?
no, I knew that was going to change, and so I waited, and I said, I'm not
You
going.
went to a game though at Commander Stadium.
I did go to a game at Commander Stadium. However, I knew it was going to change, and I don't have that much room on my flag. And no, I am not getting a new flag. Once Northwest Stadium is on there, that's where it's going to stay, bro.
Well, I don't blame you. And you're good. You're good. But a couple things that didn't stay were the initial roster cuts. And before we
Yeah,
jump into
man.
that, they couldn't have traded Jahan before we recorded last week's pod, because I feel, I don't want to say foolish talking about it now, but we never got your reaction, my reaction on that whole thing. What did you think when Jahan actually got traded and got traded to the Eagles?
Um, at the end of the day, I didn't like the fact that it was to the Eagles, because ultimately you just made their team better, and they're in our division. You made our team, I believe, weaker, and you made their team better. The other thing is, look, man, we all have a supervisor, a boss, general manager, president, whatever you want to call it. And if they aren't seeing what they want to see out of you, they're going to do what they did, and that's get rid of them. So, and get something from it, albeit a third round pick. Well, third round, right? Yeah, I believe it
A
was third
third
round.
round and sevens, but we had to
Yeah,
give them a fifth, right? So
right.
we're taking a first rounder and a fifth rounder, and we're getting a third and some sevens,
Yeah.
right? So, I
So,
mean, I don't know who won in that trade.
yeah, I don't know either. But long story short, if you aren't cutting the mustard the way that they feel you should, it's their right to get rid of you and move on. And so I think that it's a telling story to all of the players who in the past were just here to get a check. And I'm not saying that Jahan was just here to get a check. I'm saying that, look, in the past, you may not have done your job as well, and they kept you. Well, now we're saying, hey, no, we're no nonsense, and we have this level of play that we're looking for, and if you're beneath it, we'll give you an opportunity to correct it. But if you don't correct it, you're going to be gone. And so that's all I can say about that. You?
I mean, we talked about it on, I think, the Jets post game pod that we did, where I was shocked that he was still in there with, the threes and the fours
Mm-hmm.
in that game, right? And he was our number 2 receiver. Granted, he had a horrible sophomore season, definitely a sophomore slump, didn't do too well at all. And, some of that definitely is on him. He had a bunch of drops last year, and I'd say some of that is on Bieniemy, because Bieniemy just had a horrible offense at that point. So things just didn't go well.
Yeah.
And apparently his attitude, some people are saying, wasn't the best. His body language wasn't the best. So who knows if that led to it. But to me, size-wise, he was just too small.
Mm-hmm.
And who did we see actually big body some people on Sunday during the preseason game who, had a key block to spring a running back for a touchdown and use that size to get 2 pass interference calls,
Mm-hmm.
thrown up in the air, and use that body to get a TD on a nice little slant right there in the red zone.
Yeah,
Martavis
man.
Bryant.
Yeah.
And the initial 53 is out, and Bryant didn't make the cut. And it just came out about an hour ago from Ben Standing that Bryant's also not being signed to the practice squad.
Wow.
So are you more shocked that that's what's going on with Bryant? He didn't make the squad and he's not even making the PS, or about what happened with Jahan?
Uh, there's a part of me, so I say 50-50 to be honest with you, Ted. Uh, I thought that he did enough to make the squad. I don't know of another big body receiver that we have. And the thing is, even though it's been 6 years, he looked like he didn't miss a beat. Now, granted, I'm just the average fan. I don't know everything that these guys are looking for as far as the technical detail of things, but he looked like he didn't miss a beat. And he got a PI called on. I mean, there was just so many good things that I didn't see anyone else do during these last 3 preseason games but him. And it baffles me, you know, who are you going to bring in on that type of caliber or that size? And maybe we do have someone on the team that's that size, but if we have it, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the hustle that this guy did. So yes, it was quite shocking to me because I wanted him to make the team. But I'm just rally captain. I mean, what about you, man?
I really wanted him to make the team. And I actually texted you because I left the game. I left my seats at halftime to go walk around because I was getting text messages from people asking me questions.
Hmm.
And then I ended up watching the rest of the game the next day on replay. But when I texted you, it was the first half, and my seat's right on the sideline. So I am seeing Bryant basically like hug the coach, like uncomfortable. There was no, like, remember the old like middle school dances? There's no room for the Holy Spirit where he was high, like right beside the coach, right? And he wasn't getting in at all. And it's Jeff Driscoll in the third team and slash fourth team offense. So that showed me where Bryant was on that depth chart.
Yeah.
But I was shocked that he didn't actually get his chance. When he finally did, he made the most of it. I mean, PFF gave him a 68.2 grade for the game and a 67.7 in the passing game, which isn't bad. And to me, you cannot coach height. You are
No.
either that tall or you're not that tall, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I was hoping they were going to keep him. And the initial 53 has Terry McLaurin, okay, lock, Diami, lock, Luke McCaffrey. They didn't trade to draft him and then cut him. So he was definitely making the team. Olamide Zacchaeus, okay, OZ. They love OZ. Crowder, who's also your punt returner, and Byron Pringle, who is also your kick returner. To me, I'm sorry, but you let go of Pringle, right? You have someone else. And no offense, I know he's your boy, but I would have
None
Bryant.
taken.
I'd have Bryant over Pringle on this roster just for the fact that he's got that size and that body. And maybe it's just us being homers, but I feel that, other than a tight end, he could give Jaden kind of an outlet valve and somewhat of a
Hmm.
safety valve in those red zone scenarios. And we saw what he did. And granted, yes, it was a bunch of scrubs that he was going against, but who didn't do well against a bunch of scrubs was Jamin Davis lining up a defensive end. He was just getting run out of plays left and right going against four-string guys that are no longer on this roster, right? You can only do what you can in front of the people in front of you. And I feel that Bryant actually did something. And I'm shocked that he's not on this team and he's not going to be on the PS.
Yeah, he gave a spark when we needed it, and he won the freaking preseason game. And I know that doesn't mean anything, but he to me he provided just enough of a spark to create a flame, but apparently not.
Yeah, it wasn't enough, and it is what it is. And I wish him all the best. Adam Peters actually ran and like gave him a big old hug after he got that touchdown, right? And just you saw how excited he was when he sprung and actually sealed off that block for the running back. And to me, he's a guy that was hungry and would go the extra step just to get back in the league because you have that taste of it again. So
Hmm.
we'll see. Hopefully, he doesn't get picked up by someone that it hurts us and he finds a home someplace else. And I get he hasn't actually played in 6 years. It is what it is, but I did enjoy what I saw from him. But was there, other than Bryant, was there a cut that surprised you?
KJ Henry. I
Yeah.
thought that I thought he played well enough last year, and I thought he did some good things in this camp and in these couple preseason games that we had. That shocked me. Um, and I once again, I'm not a talent evaluator. I don't know. It's just it looked like he had enough hustle to me. So maybe I'm wrong. So
Yeah.
I just don't know. What about you?
I mean, I'm right there with you with KJ. He got picked up by the Bengals. So the
Mm-hmm.
waiver wire has happened. The
Yeah.
Commanders were second in the waiver process. The Panthers were first, even though the Panthers didn't draft the first pick. It's because they own the first pick and they traded it to the Bears. So the Panthers actually picked up, I think, 6 different people. The Commanders decided not to pick anybody off the waiver wire. And
Really?
yeah, nobody, not a single person. And it's not like fantasy football. And I know you don't do fantasy football, but for those of our listeners that do, when you claim a waiver pick in fantasy football, then you lose your spot in that waiver pick for the next week. Well, the way it works in the beginning of the season is we have the second pick in the waiver wire until week 3. So it's not like they could have grabbed someone, then it would screw them over for later. But the Bengals actually picked up KJ, and this is according to PFF. He had an 82.9 PFF grade, 48 pass rush snaps. He had 10 pressures and 1 sack. So, I mean, I'm kind of shocked that
Mm-hmm.
he's not here and he wasn't going to clear waivers. And the team had to have known he wasn't going to clear waivers. So he is now a Bengal. He's no longer here, but it also just screams about Rivera's old roster. And none of those players are really here anymore. And I'm not just talking, the first rounders. 12 of 33 Rivera draft picks are here. That's it. I
Hmm.
mean, that
It's
is
not even
just
half. Yeah.
no, that's damning. And the fact, the Saints have more 2020 picks than we do on our roster, right? It was depleted and they were trying to get something for Cole Turner and they cut him. And I think he really played himself off the roster with a couple of his drops. But other than KJ, I mean, KJ and Martavis were really the big ones that I was
Hmm.
kind of shocked to see because I didn't go to camp this year. So I didn't get a chance to see a bunch of the guys. I am surprised that Ridgeway is on the roster. I heard and saw, and there were reports through 1067 that they were trying to trade him at that point and see if they could do something there. But I guess no one wanted him and they just
Hmm.
decided to keep him. So who knows how many of these guys are actually going to stick around? But since we didn't claim anybody, I'm thinking this is somewhat close to what it's going to look like next week going into Tampa.
I agree with you. I definitely agree. And I keep hearing, well, this team isn't trying to make a splash move. They're just trying to plan for the future. And I understand, but it just seems as though there possibly are more talented guys out there who you could have brought on. Not to say that you still can't, but you could have brought them on now to help you down the road. And so this truly it makes me want to go back and forth when I said, "Oh no, we could win 10 games." When I see stuff like this, it makes me say, "Oh man," and when I hear them saying oh, we're really doing this for the future, not just for tomorrow. That makes me say, oh man, okay, here we are again. It just makes me just want to go back and change my pick, bro.
Yeah, and we'll go through that next week on where we think the team's actually going to be based upon everything that's happened, the 53, and going from there. But two of our guys that we cut have gotten picked up off that waiver wire. It was KJ, and I'm trying to think of the other guy that got picked up. Regardless, they're no
Castro
longer here.
Fields.
It was Castro. So he goes
Yeah,
from having his name misspelled to now getting picked up by someone else. So hey, good
yeah.
for him.
I want to say the Panthers.
Yeah, it is the Panthers he went to. So,
Yeah.
but not that far. Happy for him. I'm hoping that they do something, but looking at the depth chart right now, I can't see where we would actually put somebody, right? Defensive end, we got Cleveland Farrell, Dorrance Armstrong, Javante, Jean Baptiste, and Jamin Davis. They got Jamin listed as a defensive end, right? And linebacker is Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, Dante Fowler Jr., Michael Walker, and Dominique Hampton. So I don't know, man. I would love to see a big body receiver, but what are the odds of that happening? And you kind of had one here, and maybe he was he wasn't out of shape. I don't know why they didn't do it, but what position group do you think still needs help that they can actually legitimately find help before the season starts?
Uh, and I'm still going off of last year, which I know you can't do because it's a new year, but I'll go by just what I saw. Maybe the secondary, bro. That's still kind of the secondary is still kind of shaky to me. And there's a cat that Dallas just let go, who was in the secondary, who they say that Quinn and what's his name they work with. So uh, Quinn works with. I don't know, man. This is just right now. I'm at a loss for words. I really am because it seems as though they're content. And
Yeah.
they're there every day where I'm not. You're not. They're these guys are painstakingly watching film up until 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever have you, figuring out the pieces of this puzzle to where we only see it 3 hours maybe, on practice day or game day, preseason. So they actually see the nuts and bolts of the operation where we don't. So it goes back to where you got to put your trust in them and truly listen to what they're saying. This isn't for this year. This
Yeah.
is for the years to come. And I don't like that.
I know it's tough to swallow,
Yeah.
having rooted this team on for decades and knowing that we are quote unquote recalibrating. Sorry,
Yeah.
we are rebuilding, right? I don't care what you want to call it. We're rebuilding, and they're trying to do this the right way. And I trust Adam Peters in
Hmm.
making this decision and putting the best people on this roster that are going to put us in a position to properly rebuild. It may not be winning right away, but it's rebuilding the right way, not a 1 year wonder where you've got them trying to bring in Jeff George and all these Deion Sanders and Bruce Smith and these high price free agents that are
Oh
just over the
yeah.
hill, right?
No.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to agree with you on every point, but I'm right there on secondary, right? I'm not confident in our secondary, but I don't know who is out there that can actually make an impact and that can help out. They're not dressing 53 on game day. And, Tyler Owens made the squad, who was an undrafted free agent at that point, but they loved what they saw from him on special teams and this and that. So, is he going to play on game day? Who, if it's not, like, what's going to happen? And can he contribute? Because at one point, I didn't know if Jeremy Reeves was going to make the squad. Revo wasn't solid, in my opinion, during this training camp and during the game. So,
But he once again he plays with heart.
he
And
does.
I think that that's, you can make a couple of mistakes, but as long as you are a true dog about it, we'll look past it. That's what I see.
Yeah, it's just at a certain point on top of it, it's not their guys, and they want to bring in their guys. But if you prove that you can compete, then you're here, right?
Hmm.
Jahan didn't compete. Chris Rodriguez didn't fit what they were looking for, and we'll see. I'm willing to bet that Jamin ain't gonna be here next year, and depending on how Forbes does, maybe he's the next Jahan that gets traded during camp next year to try and give some value to someone else, and hopefully it's not to the Eagles or someone else again. But I'm looking forward to the upcoming season and finally football that we get a chance to, and enjoying this Labor Day weekend where we get a chance to just, chill one more time before it all counts for real.
That's right, man. And if you guys are coming down to Tampa for the Tampa Takeover, don't forget to stop by the rally that we're having. We'll have some swag. We'll have a DJ for the first time. I mean, this is going to be a huge rally. So do yourself a favor, and you're going to want to get there early for next week. I want to thank you guys for almost selling out the New York bus trip. We've got 8 spots that are left. So if you don't want to sink a lot of money into the larger trips, get on the bus with us and try us out that way, and that'll give you an indication of going forward to the next bigger steps, if you will, if your pockets don't allow you to do that. But hey, I hear the music playing in the background, and I always tell you, I thank you for taking this ride with us. It's been a pleasure. And keep giving us feedback, keep stopping us in the parking lot and letting us know that, hey, I listened to the podcast and you guys keep doing what you're doing. And we're going to see you next week. And as always, you rep it hard or you don't rep it at all. Rally Captain, Tailgate Ted. Until next week, we're out.